And you are all here, very wisely, to meet the amazing Gail Simmons.
I'll just come out. I'm like standing in the corner. I don't really know why. Hi, guys.
Welcome. So
Thank you.
maybe you know Gail from Top Chef. Maybe you read her lovely book. But today, she's here to talk to us about her new cookbook.
Yeah.
So tell us, what's the deal?
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. It's my first time at Google on the West Coast.
Welcome.
It's pretty awesome. I know. Wow. You make a good reason for moving to the left. Anyway, last week I launched my first cookbook. I took about 5 years to work up the courage to make it and 2 years to write it.
Wow.
It is definitely a labor of love. You all have it in your hands. It's a very personal book. Bringing it home started in several notebooks, 15 years ago, stories, recipes, flavors, dishes that I would write down from my travels. And for years, I thought, well, who else would ever want to look at these but me? And finally, about a little over 2 years ago, I decided to put them all together in one volume and share them with the world. So they're brand new and they're very special. The sort of background of the book itself is that I have really, obviously spent my whole life eating, but my mother was actually a cooking teacher and my father was a great adventurer and traveler. He was born in South Africa and we spent a lot of our lives traveling back and forth between here and South Africa. Here actually is not here at all, but I grew up in Toronto, Canada, so pretty actually far from here. With not
You want to be
as much
technical
sunshine.
about it. We don't have to be too technical about it.
But far
here.
Sure, but North America, certainly.
Sure.
And I've been working in the food industry for 20 years in a bunch of different capacities. I started out as an assistant editor. I knew I wanted to write about food, and so went to culinary school, worked as a cook in some of the greatest, toughest kitchens in New York. Not advisable necessarily, but an extraordinary education.
And an adventure,
yes,
right?
And absolutely an adventure, and an eye-opening, extraordinary exploration of food and an amazing time to live in New York. And then from there, went to work for an incredible food writer as his recipe and research assistant. And then I worked for Chef Danielle Boulou for 3 years in marketing and public relations. And in 2004, I took a job at Food and Wine magazine, actually originally directing part of the marketing department, and soon that transitioned and split into 2 jobs without me realizing that either would actually happen. I took over the direction of the Food and Wine Classic in Aspen, which is Food and Wine's biggest event of the year.
So fun, yeah.
The most fun and most beautiful place on earth. And then simultaneously, Bravo called Food and Wine and asked if they would partner on a sort of risk they were taking for the network, a new show about the real life of competitive
I don't think
cooks.
it worked out.
I know. I can't believe I actually accepted the job.
So risky of you.
I mean, at the time it really was. I have to say that when my publisher came to me and said that they had this idea for a show and that Bravo wanted to partner with us on a reality show about real professional cooks, competitive reality show, I was completely squeamish.
At the time, it was definitely a new idea.
2005.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah.
My point of reference for competition shows at the time were like
Survivor,
Real World, Survivor, Fear Factor.
It's a combination of those 3,
Right.
I think, if you really think about it.
Exactly, with a lot of perishable goods, knives, and fire.
And knives,
so I was
yeah,
like,
exactly.
bad.
And
Don't
chef
do it.
temperaments.
Yes. But it was my job, so I took it regardless, and we actually flew to San Francisco and shot our first season in San Francisco right around this time, 2005. So exactly 12 years ago.
Wow, gosh.
I was 7. I was a
I was
prodigy.
too.
I was the Doogie Howser of the food world, and and we've been doing it ever since. We've made 15 seasons, 5 spin-offs. Been nominated for 11 Emmys, one of which we actually won.
Yeah, you did.
Which we really could have never. I mean, thank you. That wasn't so much a pat on the back as it was the fact that we were like, and still are, we think of ourselves in our category as the little engine that could. We are a small cable show of a bunch of food nerds having a real conversation about professional kitchens. And we shot our 15th season in Colorado a few months ago, and it premieres in December, which is sort of awesome.
Can't wait.
It's really beautiful.
Can't wait.
And obviously it's allowed me back to the book, a lot of time to travel. We shoot every season in a different city, in a different country, and my job with Food and Wine continues, so I spend a lot of time traveling and on the road. And so this book is a combination of recipes and discoveries and lessons learned along my adventures, traveling for work, cooking with chefs, spending a lot of time on flight delays with some of the greatest chefs in the world, sitting at judges' table with them and discovering little roadside street stalls from, Colorado to the Cayman Islands to Singapore, Indonesia, and Japan. And so it's been a wild ride, and I've had to eat a lot of food, but most of all, the best thing of it is that I take all of these ideas home with me. And so this book is very much a home cookbook. It is not about tweezers and chefy chef terms. And I think that every recipe, although based in the familiar, really has a lesson or a tip or a flavor combination that'll make you a better cook in your own real life.
So excited to try it out.
Thank you.
What are you going to make today?
So I'm going to make 2 dishes which I thought would be great for lunch, healthy, fresh, and both of them very simple. The first one is a grilled radicchio and lentil salad, and the second is a rustic fish soup with fennel and orange. And both are really great this time of year, very seasonal in terms of their ingredients, hearty, but super healthy and fresh.
Let's do it.
You want to cook?
Yeah.
You guys in?
Let's go.
Also, feel free, by the way, to talk to me. I don't eat people, and I just want to make sure that I know how to turn on the stove. I do. Look at that.
I notoriously do not. If you've been to a talk with me, and the one in Mountain View is really
These are
confusing.
induction, right, by the way?
And, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, right. I'm gonna make you work.
I just stand here and talk. Of course, happy to help always.
So the first thing I'm doing is making my lentils. The lentils I'm using green lentils, but obviously you can use any lentil you want, and you can certainly flavor them in different ways. The most important thing about lentils is don't overcook them. So I'm gonna start with about 5 cups of water. I'm adding some bay leaves and some garlic cloves to the water, and I'm gonna bring it to a boil. I'm just gonna squish the garlic cloves a little bit so that all those delicious oils and flavor comes through. Drop them right in. You know what I need from you guys, if you don't mind? A kitchen towel. Forgot to grab. Are they here?
Here, right here.
Oh, perfect. Great, thank you, because now I have garlic juice all over my hands. I'm gonna bring that to a boil, then I'm gonna salt the water and add my lentils. The thing about salting, which people talk about all the time, is most people would add the salt or think to add the salt right now. Season your water. You always want to season your water, whether you're cooking beans, legumes, pasta. Seasoning is obviously something that you hear us talk about ad nauseum on Top Chef and in any cook's life. But a little trick that I've learned over the years is you don't want to salt the water right now. You actually want to salt it right before you put whatever it is into the pot. So that will drop the temperature slightly, but then it comes back to a boil very quickly, and that's when you add the pasta or the lentils or whatever you're putting in. If over time, if you salt your water too early, it will pit the pot. Salt is corrosive. So I like to now get in the habit, when I remember, to actually wait till the water comes to a boil to salt it. And it's gonna take a minute, so we'll wait. And in the meantime, I'm gonna start 2 pieces of the salad. 1 is the vegetables that will get grilled, and 2 is the salad dressing itself. And the good thing about salad dressing is that it can be made in advance and it can be made in big batches. I'm making literally the simplest salad dressing of all time. And it's a salad dressing that has, a lot of flavor, and you don't have to worry about ratios so much. And you can make it times 5, times 10, keep it in a jar. I like to keep it in like a sealed mason jar in my fridge, and then you just give it a shake and you always have it. And it's so much better than buying store-bought dressing. There are certain reasons and times to buy a store-bought dressing, granted, but there's a lot of added salt and preservatives that none of us really need. So I'm a big advocate of just making it yourself, which is really easy to do. I'm gonna start with some lemon juice and some red wine or sherry vinegar, whatever you have at home, and mix those together. Most sort of classic dressings call for about a 50-50 ratio oil to vinegar. I'm an acid person. That sounds weird.
Culinarily
Yes,
speaking?
I like acid in my food. So I tend to actually put a little more than that. But first, little trick for you. I'm putting some chopped shallots in here, and I'm gonna give that a bit of a whisk. And then I'm gonna let them sit in the acid before I add my seasoning and my oil. If you let them sit for like 5 minutes or so, they'll soften, and that strength, the astringency,
Sharpness
the
comes out of it a
sharpness
little bit.
of any onion, but in the shallots, which are great in salads, you want the flavor of them, but you don't want that intense onioniness. So if you let them sit in the acid for a few minutes before you make the dressing, then they're good to go. How's my water doing?
It's getting there.
Great. I'm gonna oil.
It's a technical term.
Yeah, it's getting there. That's what happens. I feel like it's gonna be fast. You can tell.
I think so.
already fast.
It's coming together.
This is a state-of-the-art teaching kitchen, by the way. I'm very honored to be the first guest in this kitchen.
We could not be
that's
happier
kinda
about
crazy.
it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We took some good learnings from our original and
I
changed some
bet,
things
I bet.
around.
That's what it's
and,
about.
We launch and iterate here at Google, right? So iterating on the
Right.
teaching kitchen model.
I imagine that's some sort of insider. Yes, we do. We get it.
Maybe a little bit.
I'm learning a lot while I'm here, by the way. Okay. So I'm just oiling the grate a little bit, and then I'm going to lightly grill a few things. You guys, I don't know if you can see me. I can't really see what you're looking at there. What do you need? What do you want to move?
He's just clearing the path.
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Okay.
They can kind of, you're right on the edge.
Oh, I see what's happening. Well, that's where I'm going to be.
And now, look. There you go.
Wow.
We're
Magic
so
of
fancy.
television. That's right. So I'm going to slice an onion up. This might seem basic, but when you're cutting an onion, don't ever cut off this end, the root end. Cut off this tip, and then peel from here. If you cut off the root, the whole thing will sort of fall apart on you. And it's easier to just, peel it like this before you take off that root and cut it and leave the root at the end.
That's a good one. I didn't think of that, really.
Well, there's different schools. Some people don't care as much as me, but I just find it easier because then all of a sudden you're dealing with like the clumsy rings and everything is falling apart. And it's a lot easier, especially for this recipe, because I'm going to be grilling the onion in big slices to keep
Sure,
the
keep
whole
it more
thing
intact.
Yeah. And there's kind of big grates that I don't want it to fall into, and I don't really want to
Yeah.
start a fire as the first person in this kitchen.
We have a really good hood system. Everyone's
Good.
very safe.
Great. I'm sure there's an exit strategy. We're going to be fine.
Would you cut off the
I
root if you were
wouldn't.
dicing it?
If I were to dice this onion, I would cut it in half so that I have a flat surface. And then, because you always life is easier with a flat surface. Can I grab a bowl for food waste? Anything. I would cut it in half like this, put one half on the flat surface and dice it, and then slice the other half. Again, to keep this intact. If I cut this off and then cut it in half, all the
things fall
petals,
apart.
all the levels will fall apart. Right. Now, for the sake of grilling it the way I want to grill it, we're getting there.
We are definitely
Once
getting
again, it's almost happening.
It is tiny bubbly.
I'm going to slice this into sort of like 1/4 to 1/2 inch rings. I don't want them too thin because I want to keep them, again, not to fall through the crack. And there's a little bit of this tougher skin here that I'm going to take off. And then I'm going to quarter my radicchio. And I'm going to grill that too. Radicchio is one of my favorite lettuce to use. It's sort of hearty and beautiful and great this time of year. And it's great on the grill because it adds a little bit of a smoky flavor. And it's one of those really simple things to do.
I think people don't think about that necessarily, grilling lettuces.
lettuce. Heartier lettuces are really easy to grill. I'm going to actually brush these with a little oil too, just to make sure that we don't have any problems on the grill. I love, hearty lettuces that are big, that obviously won't fall through, are really great for this purpose. I love to grill romaine, and
Yes.
delicious for grilled Caesar.
Grilled Caesar is my favorite.
Right? Delicious.
That was a surprise the first time you have that one. Like, why haven't I been doing this my entire life?
Right. Well, that's how I feel about this radicchio salad. So perfect. A little bit of salt, season those up a little bit. And then I'm going to put them right on the grill and do the same with that radicchio. I'm using kosher salt, by the way. I find that the coarseness of the grain is really easy to handle. Fine sea salt when you're cooking, it's sort of, I like it for finishing perhaps, and for other purposes, but fine sea salt I find a little bit difficult to measure in your hand because it's hard to tell how much you're using. So most cooks use coarser kosher salt. Okay.
We have arrived.
All right.
We are lentil ready.
Awesome.
Or salt ready.
Salt ready.
Prior to lentil.
You want to throw like a generous pinch in there?
Look at that.
Keep going. Keep going. One more big one. There you go.
Lentils,
Thank you.
Yeah, here.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll trade. When that boils again, which will be in about 10 seconds, you're going to dump those lentils right in. And then, would you set your phone for 20 minutes?
I appreciate your use of resources.
You know what? It takes a village, people.
What we need is just an okay Google, like
I know.
set
Hello.
a timer for 20
Hello,
minutes.
Google. Isn't that what I'm supposed to say?
Okay, Google.
Okay, Google. Sorry. I just got one, by the way.
Yeah?
Because listen to this, guys. I have a friend who works for Google in New York, and she brought me and my daughter to the crazy donut pop-up that we did in Brooklyn last weekend.
Yeah.
And we went in hoping to get donuts because my daughter is 3 and she doesn't care about, you know, the devices. And she was just like to get a donut. And so you go and you just ask Google, hello, okay, Google, answer the question. And we got the whole thing.
I love
we got
it.
the donut. And my daughter was hugely disappointed. Good thing they were also handing out donuts. I was pretty
donuts.
psyched about it. Right, actual
Now,
donuts.
food, there's always food at Google everything.
Yes.
It's an integral part of our
Great
culture.
minds think alike. Great minds think alike. So I'm brushing a little bit of oil onto the radicchio too to make sure it doesn't stick and burn. And then I'm going to char it up just a little bit as well.
So romaine and radicchio, what are other lettuces you think hold up well on the grill?
I mean, you just want something that has a bit more of a hardiness to it. So, you know, kale can work. Cabbage
Sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts in the lettucey family. So those are going to go right on. Oh, I probably have to do both of these. I see what's happening. You can sort of hear them starting to sizzle. Tongs. Ah, yes, thank you. Okay, so my radicchio and onions are grilling. I'm cleaning my station, also important. Clean as you go. And now I can add the oil to this beautiful dressing. I'm going to season it first with some salt and pepper. Looking good over there?
Looking good.
Great.
It's getting a little crazy. Just turn it down a little
That's
bit.
okay. Okay, good. No, that's good. Moderate. Thank you. And then I'm
Lentils.
just whisking in. I could use a whisk, but there's not that much liquid in here. A few tablespoons of olive oil. Keep whisking as you move it around so that it incorporates, but you don't have to worry that much about emulsifying a fancy dressing here. Smoking, that's a good sign. Pardon? No, not really. It's just the oil and the acid. So, you know, it's really, I mean, if you want to get really crazy, you can whisk it really, really vigorously and add the oil really, really slowly, and they'll ultimately emulsify together. But
not like a required state for this dressing.
no, not at all. I don't really believe, like when you're at home and you just, it's going to taste the same. So my dressing's done.
I think that maybe did qualify as the easiest dressing ever.
Yeah. Let's turn this
Made
down just a
itself.
little bit. You can put a lid on that. Do you think we have a lid for that?
I'm certain it exists somewhere in this space. Not certain exactly where.
That's what we have Jared for.
Jared is
He's
on it.
all-knowing.
He's the best.
That's right. These are going to fall for the
And
grades
he
a little bit.
legit found it. Jared, you are a treasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jared.
Works.
Perfect.
It's scrappy.
It's sealing it. All right.
Love it. Look at the little grill marks going.
Mm-hmm. Just want to move these around a little bit, make sure that all sides get really lightly grilled. You know, the radicchio does change color a bit from that really vibrant purple. It'll get a little brown, but it doesn't matter. And then we're good. Any questions so far about anything? Me, I'm an open book, except if you want to know the winner of this season. Yes. I have one daughter.
Just one daughter, yeah.
Yes. She's almost 4. She was a princess kitty cat last night, in case.
That, you know, I think that was a pretty popular costume.
Yeah, you know, it's a hybrid. It's a bit
Princess
of a mashup.
Kitty.
Princess, she had her kitty Purry doll with her.
Sure.
And, yeah, she was rocking it.
So
Apparently, she got a good haul. I was sadly not there.
Yeah. Well, I will ask you a question selfishly. What was your favorite season of Top Chef?
Oh, my God. I mean, it's hard to say because we've been able to, I mean, there's sort of like 2 things about each season. There's the talent and then there's the city, you know? And both are so important to the season. So I think of those as kind of like separate things.
Okay, so separate things.
I would say season 6 in Las Vegas was my favorite season in terms of the challenges and the chef talent and sort of the magic of that cast.
And remind us who's in that.
So that was
one.
Michael Voltaggio, Brian Voltaggio.
That's my favorite season.
Kevin
Kevin,
Gillespie,
Kevin,
Jen Carroll.
Yeah, that was the season.
They were feisty, man.
They still
Oh
are.
my God, they certainly are. They certainly are. And they've all done incredibly well.
Yeah, they have.
I was at Vice the other day, and they were talking about how Kevin Gillespie he's an Atlanta chef who's done really, really well. He's really, really one of the smartest guys I know.
I thought he was going to win, yeah.
You know, who knows? It's anybody's game. So they were talking about how he was coming in to do something the next day, and they're like, "Do you know that guy? Do you know who Kevin Gillespie is?" Asking as if they were like breaking news to me about this like rising star chef. And I was like, "Kevin Gillespie, yeah, I fucking made that guy."
Right? You're like, don't know
I'm
him.
totally joking. And I didn't swear either, and that can be blipped out in the stream.
It's certainly not going to be.
Yes, not that I did because it's all him. I mean, he's amazing. But
Yeah,
that was like an incredible
That
cast.
season was
the moment.
special, I feel like.
Yeah, it
with the
really
cast.
was. That was the season we won our Emmy, and for good reason,
Yeah,
because
it's the
there was
best
something
one.
about the casting of that season that was just amazing. The talent.
I think that I always felt that season had the most like chefs of the same caliber.
Yeah,
like
across the board.
usually there's a couple who are amazing. That one was like
Agreed.
it really could have been any of
It
them.
really could have been.
It was fantastic.
So that was incredible. And
then
favorite
city-wise?
city, probably New Orleans season
sure. I mean-
11. We were there. It was the longest season we ever had. It was like an 18 or 19 episode
an
season.
excuse to hang out in
Yeah.
NOLA a little longer.
We had like no problem. We were there for
Sure.
like, I don't know, 8 or 10 weeks. And it was, by the way, like May through July.
Oh wow.
So it was swampy,
yeah.
but it was amazing. I was pregnant, so I was the only sober person in the town of New Orleans
Oh
for
no.
10 weeks. Yeah. And I had the best time ever. I ate snowballs every single day. Do you guys know New Orleans snowballs? They're like, shaved ice. There's actually a recipe in my book for a granita, a satsuma and ginger granita that I
yum.
discovered. I use mandarins or tangerines in the recipe because it's hard to get satsumas in all of the country. But in the dessert section, it's a ginger and mint and tangerine satsuma, like sort of granita with condensed milk drizzled on top because that
sounds
was my order every
amazing.
single day. And you ask if my daughter has a sweet tooth. Like literally, it's all I ate for a
Wow.
long time.
I mean, it sounds fantastic. It's not something I would complain about.
It was a special season. I had spent time in New Orleans before, but never for that amount of time. And the city is just an incredible, generous, fascinating place. And I think, so different than the rest of the country.
Yeah,
it's a very
absolutely.
unique cultural
Very unique, yeah.
place to live. It's beautiful.
So, how's your salad?
It's going great. We're going to take the beautiful radicchio off the grill. You can see it's nice and charred on the edges, but not too burned. I think the onions can still survive another moment or
more
two.
minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to let them soften a little bit. Turn this side off, and I'm just going to chop these up very loosely. I'm going to cut off the core because they're kind of hard, And then I'm just going to chop it roughly like that.
Did you test these recipes on
Many
your
of them,
daughter?
actually. She is a very particular critic. Is
that all kids?
As
Because mine
3-year-olds
sure
are,
are.
yeah.
Oof.
If anyone has toddlers, they know exactly what I'm talking about. She was great with a lot of the recipes, actually. There's a few recipes that were, inspired by things we cooked together. Pancakes that are in there, certainly a couple of the egg dishes. She totally got into the desserts, go figure.
Terrible
But
plan.
even the things I didn't think she would love, there's a spaghetti pie recipe in there that's sort of this amazing, monstrous, delicious, serves 25,
Sold.
weighs 40 pounds.
Sold.
It's
Can't wait to
delicious,
check
and
it
of course,
out.
there was no surprise that she was really into the spaghetti pie, but she also loved the banana cardamom cake, which I thought would be, a little bit
That's
spiced
great.
for her. And she, totally loved it and ate it up. And she's a pretty good eater overall. She's a toddler, so every day is a little bit different. What she liked yesterday, she will bluntly refuse
How
today.
dare you insult her by thinking
Yes.
that she was going to eat it again?
Throw it across the room.
Yeah, been there.
But mostly she's a great eater, and I feel lucky about that. So we cook together a lot,
Yeah,
and she
that's fun.
loves to get in the kitchen, and I think that helps.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I have a daughter who's 12, and she just started cooking dinner for us once a week, which is the best thing ever, by the way.
I would pay big bucks for that.
Well,
so she's
so-
looking for more clients.
I know. Well, we started doing the meal delivery thing and trying it out, and then that, I think, demystified it enough for her that she was like, I want to try
I can do this.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean,
but
that's
talk
the
about
goal.
game changer.
Yeah.
But yeah, having her just comfortable in the kitchen now, it's
huge.
really resulting in benefit to my
Yes,
busy life.
that's the end result.
And
Like,
ultimately,
how
that's-
does this benefit
right?
me?
How it's building. Well, and I also told her, think about the life skills that
Oh,
I didn't
100%.
start cooking
and
like
the
that.
math and the science, and
Right.
it's
all of it.
It's useful, but I also think ownership allows them to have confidence and want. I mean, my child at 3 is much more likely to eat her dinner if she played a hand in it.
100% agree. The things that she will try now or that she'll, fully eat and enjoy because
Exactly.
she made it herself is really powerful. And I just taught my son this weekend how to make chocolate chip cookies. So we're setting it. I mean, we're going to set the stage
So
correctly.
she's got dinner and he's got dessert, and you're sold.
And I get to sit down,
Yeah. Wow.
which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Exactly. Can you get your partner, spouse to do the dishes? That's what you need to do.
I think that's one of those things where it's not as intimidating to, let's clean up if I didn't have to do all the things that come before
You're totally
that,
right. My husband is not a cook, but he is an excellent dishwasher.
Hey,
But we're happily so
Takes
because he's
all kinds.
Yeah, he's a
Takes
little
all
bit
kinds.
OCD. He really is
Oh
very
my
particular
gosh.
about cleanliness and
so I would pay big bucks for that.
Yeah.
So we should work out
It's
a trade.
available for hire.
Yes,
No
we will work
problem.
out a trade. My daughter will make dinner and your husband can clean up.
Done. So I have my grilled onions.
They smell amazing.
They're going in.
Sorry,
Super
live
easy.
stream friends. They smell amazing.
They do. There's the thing about onions is that they're full of sugar, right? And
Sure.
so that's when you say caramelizing onions is really cooking them so that the natural sugars come out. That the char is from the sugar content. And so that's what you want, the sweetness. They really add a lot of sweetness. How much time we have on
Yeah,
the
I was just
lentils?
gonna say, Laura,
Although
how we doing?
we're gonna fake it anyway.
Okay.
Okay,
8
great.
minutes on our timer. We got 30
I'll
minutes
show
left
you what
on
to
our
do,
cook.
but I'm still gonna just put together the salad because I happen to have, through the magic of television, some cooked lentils.
Ya-da-da-da.
So basically, all you do when the lentils are cooked is you strain them out, pull out the bay leaf, pull out the garlic, and then lie them out on a sheet tray to cool. And you want them to cool completely because they'll continue to cook if you keep them in the pot or
Sure.
in a bowl together because of the heat being retained. So if you spread them out, they'll cool much faster, and that'll stop the cooking.
That's a good
And then
tip.
you just add them right in. I'm also going to add some sliced fennel, which I love. I think fennel is an underrated and delicious vegetable that I put in a lot of my salads.
Totally agree.
And
We just
then-
had some on the breakfast line at MP1 this morning, if you were over there.
Delicious. Oh,
What do
fennel
we-
fronds. Do you guys have a little of them?
Yep, right there.
Oh,
We
beautiful.
gotcha.
Just a tiny bit. So I'm going to dress, thank you so much, Jared. I'm going to dress this salad at this point before I put in the arugula because I want all of this to absorb the dressing. If I put the arugula in too, it'll wilt really quickly. And this way, it'll be better for like if you're making a dinner party or something and you want to dress it to let all the dressing absorb, but you don't want to wilt the lettuce too far in advance. So I'm just going to pour that dressing right over top. And I'm going to give that a little spin. Another good tip about making salads, which people don't think about so much, is use a really big bowl.
So you can toss it well and really get it all in there.
Toss it really easily, because so many times you like put your salad in like this tiny salad bowl and then it's like so difficult to toss. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? All right, then I'm just going to add in, and there's enough dressing that it'll coat the arugula, so you really don't need to worry about that.
A little bit of fennel frond.
And some fresh basil. And then the fronds from the fennel that you sliced earlier, save those fronds. They're so full of flavor. And just add a little bit there. Thank you, chef. And then you give it all a toss together. And you can do this stage a little bit later. You know, if you're having a dinner party or something, you can make the salad up to the point where you've dressed the lentils and the onions and the radicchio together and let them sit for a little bit, and then add the arugula at the really last minute.
It looks beautiful too. The color's great, super vibrant.
Totally.
Dressing smells amazing. What's your favorite dish from the book?
God, it's so hard.
See, with one kid, you don't have to be asked your favorite kid. So this is like
question,
a derivative
right?
of that question.
It's true. They're my babies. They're my babies. I would say, God, there's so many, because they're all so different. And the recipes, as I said, I'm just putting a little bit of fresh herbs right on top like that.
Or what can you eat most often?
Ooh, yeah, what would you eat again and again and again and again and again?
I'm going to give that to you. And we have some extra salad here if you want it. What can I eat most often? I mean, I could eat that spaghetti pie all day. It makes the best leftovers of all time. I mean, it can sit in your fridge for a week. And so don't be shy to make it. Like, if you think you can't make it.
You don't have 25 people to feed it to?
You
still make it.
Exactly. Still make it. And it's like cold pizza. Like, it's the best thing ever. I'm also just going to give these to you, Jared, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. I love that. I love the banana cardamom upside down cake. I love the black licorice chocolate cake. So, I mean, we're good with the lentils, but I do want to finish them and show you guys just for the sake of showing you. I love, I don't know, there's so many things that I love in the book. I love the lamb chops a la Prieta, sort of a Spanish-inspired dish. Lamb chops grilled with roasted grapes and sweet onions and lemon, and I drizzle paprika honey, smoked paprika honey all over it.
Yum.
Easiest, great, entertaining main course.
Smoked paprika honey is now burned into my brain.
Yeah.
Like, I will not be able to stop thinking about
It's
that
so easy.
until
I mean, literally,
read
I just
the book.
take honey, put a little bit of paprika and stir it up, put it in the microwave for 5 seconds so it's a little warm and it thins out. And you drizzle it on top of the lamb chops.
What is this, Gail?
So
you are
good.
blowing my mind right now.
It's so good. All right, fish soup. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
This is a really simple fish soup that is also really great for a dinner party because it can be made almost completely ahead of time, and then the fish itself you put in at the last minute and takes 2 minutes to cook. So
perfect.
If you are having people over and you make the dish in advance, literally the whole thing takes like a half an hour to make in advance. Put it on the side of the stove, don't think about it, and then people come over or dinner is ready and you put the fish in for 2 minutes. You bring it up to temperature, put the fish in for 2 minutes, and you have like the most beautiful, elegant, really impressive dish. And it's hearty and it's tasty and it's really yummy.
Right, so what do we do?
So I'm gonna start with some onions, some garlic, some celery.
All good
and
things
more
start with
fennel.
onions and garlic. I feel like that's just
I totally
rules
agree
of
with
life.
you. Making soup is something I'm sort of geeky and passionate about. There's a lot of soup in the book. There's a whole chapter of soups and stews because I spend a lot of time making soups and stews.
Well, it's about to be soup and stew weather.
Yes.
Although
I mean, I
maybe
don't
in New
believe
York
that
it
that
already
happens
is.
here, but whatever you say.
She's from Canada where it gets really cold.
Yeah. True enough.
We adhere very strongly to the like 50 to 80 is really
Yes, I know. I
the
feel real
temperature
bad for
range.
you about that.
I do like coats though. I don't get a chance to
Yes,
wear
I
them
know.
very
Well,
much.
come
but-
visit. I'll give you an excuse to wear
Sold.
them.
Sold.
Actually, there's a couple of chilled soups. also in the book, which I love and make all year round. There's a Romesco style gazpacho, which is a
yum.
Spanish gazpacho, but with walnuts and roasted peppers.
Ooh.
But it's very quick.
Super fast is
And
what
I
it
make a
is.
chilled corn soup, which is also really beautiful for summer. But I do a lot of soups and stews, from like a riff on my mom's matzo ball soup and my grandmother's matzo ball soup to I do a big pork and bean soup with maple cream from Quebec, because I lived in Montreal for a long time. And then I have this rustic fish soup, which is sort of Italian inspired. It's a hot pan. Sort of Italian inspired and really simple and flavorful. I'm starting with some fennel and onions. I'm gonna grab a wooden spoon.
Jared.
Thank you so much. Magic.
Magic of Jared.
It's just, so I put a little oil in the bottom of the pan, let it heat up for a minute, and then I added the onions and fennel, and I'm gonna let them cook down. You wanna hear that sizzle, that's a good thing. People always ask about, how when pans are hot, and people worry about burning. But the most important thing I think about cooking is that it really uses all 5 of your senses. It's the only art that I can think of that does that. You need to hear that sizzle to know your pan is hot. And you also can tell if it's too high pitched, that it might be too hot. If you're not hearing that when you put something on a grill, or when you put something, into fat in a pan or a pot, then it's not ready. And you want the integrity of it hitting the pan and caramelizing or getting color and being hot. So I'm gonna put that in, and you can't really see into it, but you'll start smelling it soon, unless you're watching this online.
Smells amazing, online friends. Thanks for watching the live stream.
And then I'm gonna add some celery, chopped celery, and then a little bit of garlic. Maybe a little more garlic.
Say.
I'm gonna let that cook for a few minutes. I don't want it to get too brown and take on too much color, because the downside of caramelizing anything is that there's a moment where it then gets bitter, right?
Yeah.
It goes from sweetness and lovely smokiness to bitterness, and I don't want any of that in my soup, of course. So I'm gonna let that cook for just a sec. Is the time up on the lentils?
Yes, it is.
Cool. Let's just show you how that's done, in case you're wondering. I'm just going to. Ooh, all good.
Yeah. It's the life of a chef. Oh, who's your favorite guest judge who
my
works?
God,
I
that's
can't.
a
Let's
good question.
Let's post this online after you answer this question.
That's a hard question, actually. I'm trying to think.
Do you need something
We've
else?
worked with so many amazing people over the years. No, I'm good. I'm just going to
right on your sheet
shake
pan.
it out and put it right on the sheet pan. And that way, that'll cool off really quickly.
Perfect.
Let me think for a sec. There's been the Foo Fighters. They were kind of amazing. The Food Fighters, who, by the way, are great cooks and super exciting. And they were awesome about being on the show with us. We did a challenge where we made our chefs cook for them backstage before a concert, and then we all went to the concert. That was awesome.
It's good excuse to go to the concert.
I remember I'm standing backstage, and we're about to go on, and the lead singer of the Foo Fighters, like Dave, just gonna call him Dave because
you're
my buddy
buddies,
now,
and you should.
turns to me and he's like, "I can't believe I'm on Top Chef," and I'm like, "I can't believe you're the Foo Fighters."
Win-win.
I know.
High
really.
five.
That was kind of exciting.
That is fun.
Joel Robuchon came on the show.
Sure. That was pretty exciting.
And that was really amazing for us in our Vegas season because as much as we've had, the best chefs in this country, it was rare to get one of the real old school French.
Real.
Three
upper
Michelin,
echelon, yeah.
Yeah, chefs. That was a real highlight for all of us. Even Tom was intimidated that day. Natalie Portman was a really fun challenge. That was a vegan challenge.
'cause she's vegan, right?
And that was sort of exciting because it was not only her, and she was obviously a delight, but that was really when we could do a vegan challenge, which people had been asking us to do for a while. And this was again 5 or 6 years ago when the chef world was like, vegan challenge? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was a true challenge, and we made beautiful food. They made beautiful food that
we
day.
talk about the like complexity of cooking really delicious vegan food here quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet.
Because our chef community feels pretty strongly it's actually more difficult to cook vegetables perfectly,
Yes.
right? And then to create a really robust vegan meal that feels like a meal and
Right,
not like
and satisfying.
Right, exactly.
And balanced and all of those things. My father, at the age of 75, became a vegan a couple of years ago.
Really?
Damn him. It drives my mother and I crazy, but I'm really proud of him about it. I mean, I really admire him for doing it. And it has challenged me a lot when he comes over and when I cook for him. And also taking him out for dinner, which is a little bit more difficult than it used to be. But that's okay. So there's actually a couple of vegan recipes in the book specifically made for my dad.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Wine. Oh, actually, I'm going to use this one. Half a cup of white wine. If you have Pernod around, Pernod is also great to use in this dish because it has a little bit of an anise note to it.
Sure.
I'm going to add about a half a cup of wine in there. And I'm going to let that reduce out a little bit till it's almost completely gone. So I've taken all the alcohol away, and all that's left is the flavor of that wine.
Oh, 3 favorite restaurants in New York.
You guys are really hardballing it today.
People have been thinking about these questions. Usually they're a lot more like a riff off. These are good calculating questions. I appreciate that.
No, I do too. So here's my rule about giving restaurant recommendations in New York. You need to give me either a cuisine or
narrow the
a
playing
neighborhood.
field. Yeah, you're gonna narrow the playing field
Because
a little bit.
it's overwhelming, as it is in San Francisco. And also, I can't even keep up anymore. There's just
many
so
all the
many.
time.
And there's so many I love. And I rarely get to go to a restaurant more than once or twice. So, West Village.
West Village.
Okay, I can do that one. No, I'm pretty good at doing them all. I would say in the West Village, I am in love with Bavette, which is a beautiful little French cafe with amazing small plates, great breakfast, beautiful coffee, and it just has that way of transporting you. Right across the street, the same owner and her partner have an Italian restaurant called Via Carota, and it's also really delicious. I'm an old school fan of Mary's Fish Camp, which is like classic lobster roll place in New York, which still has lineups out the door for 2 hours, even though it's been open for 15 years.
Wow. That's testament in itself.
Yes, it is. It's tiny. The West Village is known for sort of having a lot of tiny, great spots.
Oh, favorite in Chelsea, which is where our new Google office is going.
I've been there. I lived on 16th Street for 10 years, so 16th and 7th, and Google's at 16th between 8th and 9th, right?
Yeah, and we're building out a whole new thing at the
Well, there
Chelsea.
you go. I'll go check it out.
The pier. We're taking that whole thing.
Oh, right, you're taking that pier. So that's intimidating. That part of the city did not have a great day yesterday, but we will rise.
Always.
Again. So Chelsea, that was my hood for a really long time. I love a lot of restaurants in Chelsea. Chelsea's a funny neighborhood. It's changed a lot. The food has changed a lot in a very short time there. There's a really amazing spot called Haven's Kitchen on 17th Street. It's a coffee shop and little cafe by day, and their food is really great. And then I also love their, they have a cooking and teaching space and a catering company, and they do cooking classes, and they have a beautiful private event space. I am adding some fish stock to this. If you don't have fish stock or not up to making fish stock, which you don't have to do, you can use some clam juice. Just a bottle of clam juice, like 8 ounces of clam juice. And that's going to be the basis of this.
Our beautiful leader is telling us we have 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, so what about your favorite vegan restaurants that you brought?
Oh, your favorite vegan restaurant.
Sure. Superiority Burger is sort of amazing.
Superiority Burger?
Yeah. It's not open for
That is the most vegan thing I've ever heard.
They are the most amazing burgers. They're awesome. In with the stock.
The best name for a vegan restaurant.
In with the stock is a can of tomatoes. You can get whole and just mash them up, or buy, crushed tomatoes if you want.
Okay.
And then I'm going to add some chili pepper, some grated orange zest, which, I put orange zest, or I put citrus zest in general in almost all of my food because I find it so delicious.
Absolutely.
And it brings so much to it.
Brightness, yeah.
And then some fresh thyme. You can just add the whole stem if you want to. And
Because
then just
picking
remember,
thyme leaves is the most annoying kitchen task.
well,
in
except I'm going to show you a little tip about the thyme leaves.
Please make it
the
easier
fastest
for
way to
me.
pick a thyme leaf is to turn it down like this. So the leaves are all facing up. If you put your hand at the top and then just go down, all of them are off. And then you don't have to worry about
With the strong
the
stems,
one-
yes. And when the stems
Yes.
are weak, they break on you.
That's
the
true.
most annoying
That's
thing.
true. It is annoying. That's why I say just if you're going to put the whole thing in, remember to take it out. Because it's not so nice otherwise.
Spoon that right into your mouth.
I'm going to season this up just a little bit with some salt. And then I'm going to bring this to a boil. And I'm going to let it simmer for about 25 minutes. And then that'll be the base for your soup. And if you want to turn it off right there and put it on the side of your fridge, on the side of your stove until you're ready to cook the fish, that's like done. And then you're going to cook the fish in it. And I, through the magic of television, have some done right here.
Ta-da! Oh, do they make a successful result?
Good
It's only
question.
happened one time.
It has happened, and it is a hard thing to do. It's like they can't help themselves.
I
those
don't.
chefs.
That's my thing.
Every
they
one of
keep
them.
doing it. They just
Because
keep going back to it.
It is a very competitive field, and they all think they're going to take it down.
Yeah.
Like they are going to conquer.
Well, someone I feel like did one in one of the later, towards the end, and Tom actually.
Right, that's
Yeah.
true because when you only have to cook for a smaller amount of
Yeah.
people, and you're not one of 15 cooking,
Right.
you're more likely. But
I feel like it was even maybe the finale or right before.
I think it was right before.
Right
Now I'm
before, yeah.
forgetting because
and it was
truthfully-
just a small dinner party.
I have no memory. I've
right.
eaten
Well,
way too many
how many
dishes.
of you've done 15 seasons?
Yeah, and 5 spin-offs. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just like no way to remember it all.
All right. So what kind of fish?
So this is a sea bass, but you can really use any firm white fish that you want. If you see halibut or tilapia, you can use, really cod would be great. It all cooks really quickly, and it's all really good for you and delicious. I'm just going to slice it up very gently and cube it into like 1-inch pieces. And then I'm putting it right into the pot that should be lightly simmering. And it'll cook in about 2 minutes, and then you're literally done, and you can serve the whole thing, which I will do. Let's get that. Oh, that's hot already. Okay.
Yeah, it's right there.
Genre of food that you prefer not to cook or find particularly challenging?
What type of genre? Of food
That's
do
an
you
interesting
not
question.
cook?
That's a question I've never had before because everyone asks me what's your favorite cuisine or genre to cook in or eat, and my answer is always that because we live in the amazing places we live, I can eat and cook a different cuisine every single day. And
Yeah.
I could eat Mexican for breakfast and Filipino for lunch and Vietnamese for dinner, and then go out for incredible sushi as a midnight snack or whatever I want. For cooking purposes, I would say Japanese, beyond making sort of simple ramen or udon, because it's hard to get the quality of ingredients. Like if I want to, do really elaborate Japanese food, it's also the
Yeah.
training, which is sort of in a different, at a different level. I don't cook it at home, but that's not to say I don't use the flavors
Yeah.
that I love from Japanese food. Really good soy and yuzu and togarashi and that kind of thing that I love to put into my food. I love cooking other food that uses similar flavors. I love Indonesian food and Vietnamese food, both of which there's a lot of in the book. A couple of dishes from Singapore from our time spent there when we shot the 7th season of the show. But I don't cook Japanese, like classic, really elaborate Japanese food at home that much. Oh, we got a rapid boil. I love this kitchen.
Induction, I tell you.
Yeah. Never. I cannot speak for other food shows, but on our show, we realized very quickly that obviously it affects the quality of the food and how
Sure.
we judge it. And we never wait for food. So it doesn't matter. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. It doesn't matter if my dress isn't done up, or my makeup's not on, or my mic is improperly positioned, or anyone's running late. When the food is hot, we eat it.
Good.
What you don't, and our associate director
That's good
who
to
runs
hear.
the stage is very adamant about that, and rightly so, because that's the nature of what we do, and we want to give these chefs the respect that they deserve.
And if it's going to be a real cooking show,
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, we can't. I mean, they're professional chefs. These are not amateurs who think it would be cool to be a chef.
Right.
These are all guys and girls who have been cooking for 10 plus years at the highest level. And so we really want to respect the food that they're cooking and eat it as hot as we can. What you don't see on the show, which makes that a lot easier, is that the chefs cook in a stagger. So everyone often thinks that they're all cooking at the same time. So the last person cooking, of course, their food's going to be cold by the time it gets to or the last person whose food is presented for eating. But actually, they cook in staggers, usually of 3. So let's say it's a 2-hour cook. The first 3 will go, and they'll cook for 20 minutes, and then the next 3 will start. And so there's a 20-minute gap between them so that when we're eating, we eat the first, and we have 20 minutes to eat it and talk about it before the next comes out.
Editing, right? It's all in
Yeah.
the editing.
Well, and that also allows us to eat, have a discussion about
yeah.
it, clear. Sometimes it's about a half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour, but it also makes sure that we're getting their food as soon as it
That
comes
makes a
off
ton
the
of
press.
sense, yeah.
Exactly.
Even the quick fire?
Quick fires are a little different. So quick fires, they all have to be done at the same time, but they go through them really quickly. That's like Padma speaks to them with the guest chef, for 3 minutes each, and they move on. So they go really quickly around that kitchen.
Other questions while she's plating this amazing smelling soup?
So the holidays are coming up.
Yes.
Do you recommend certain things for your cookbook to make?
Ooh, what should we
Yes.
make this holiday season?
Absolutely. I sort of regret that there's not a traditional turkey in my book. There is a turkey. It's a pastrami turkey. So I've roasted the turkey with the flavors of pastrami, and it's really delicious. And it's sort of rolled and sliced and boned out. So it's an untraditional turkey, but if you want to make it, I guarantee you'll be happy about it. And the flavor is awesome because sometimes turkey flavor is
Pretty
kind of
bland. Yeah.
But there's lots of other things. So for Thanksgiving, there's an amazing salt and vinegar smashed potatoes, which is actually in People magazine. I just saw it today. So I guess it's in this week's issue that I did in the book. There's a lot of holiday baking, you said. So the black licorice chocolate cake I mentioned before, I think is amazing. There's 2 tarts in the book. One is a very traditional Canadian tart called a tarte au sucre. And it is a maple sugar tart, which you eat very traditional. It's a very traditional dish that you eat at sugar shacks all over Quebec when sugaring season happens, which sort of starts now and goes through March. And it has a hazelnut crust, and it's insanely delicious and addictive. The first time I ever made the soup in the States, I made it for Marcus Samuelson, who's a chef in New York, who is a good friend of mine, and who we had a show together for a brief time on a network called FYI, and I made it for him on the show, and he sat, he's a little man, and he ate an entire half of a pie.
And then he bounced around the room on a sugar
Yeah,
high?
exactly. Delicious. And then there's a banoffee pie, which if you're not a baker, I highly recommend, because, do you have any more of those fronds? Thank you. Because it requires no actual baking. It is a chocolate
assembly of ingredients.
The only thing you have to do is make or buy, but I do teach you how to make dulce de leche out of a can of condensed milk.
Oh.
And the dulce de leche then gets spread on the bottom of a chocolate wafer crust, which is just really chocolate wafers that you buy in the grocery store mixed with butter and pressed into a pie plate. And then layers of sliced banana, lots of whipped cream, chocolate shavings, and roasted peanuts.
Sounds
and it is
gross.
the most
Yeah, no,
killer
it doesn't sound good at
dessert.
all.
There's a couple of good cookies too. There's a cookie in there that is a vanilla cookie, but it's a sandwich cookie with dulce de leche in the middle and dipped in chocolate with a little sea salt. And those are really good sort of holiday cookies. Yeah.
Yes, Gail. So there you are.
There you are. So that's my fish stew. It came together in moments.
Really fast,
And
yeah.
my grilled radicchio salad. Thank you guys so much for
Fantastic.
cooking with me.
And because we're so spoiled and Googlers eat all of the things, everybody gets to taste these delicious dishes. And do you want to do a little Q&A?
Yeah, if you guys have questions, keep them coming. I'm happy to answer. Well, I have a question for you guys. Where should I eat breakfast tomorrow morning in San Francisco? Right. Could do that. Where any other favorites? Breakfast, brunch? Tartine
Tortilla Manufactory.
Where's Elise? Noted. We're going to Tartine. I forgot about it, of course. Thank you very much. Did you say porcini breakfast sandwich? Done.
Yeah, that
check
place is
and check.
super delicious.
Great. Yeah, oh yeah, that's a given.
For sure. She ate at Lavon earlier.
I did. I had my breakfast. We got here really early, and I had breakfast at Lavon, which was delicious. I had a trumpet mushroom strata. And
Oh yeah, Mr. Holmes Bakehouse.
I mean, that place is bananas. So cool. That'll probably be like a mid-afternoon snack.
There you go.
I'm going to try to start with something with some
base down.
nutritional
Yeah,
value.
put a little base down.
And then I'll go to Mr. Holmes.
I love
it. In Queens?
Queens recommendation?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you should go to PS1 to M. Wells if you can. A guy from Quebec, actually, who cooks at it's the museum, the Modern Art Museum, PS1 and Gallery, and he has an awesome restaurant. It's in Long Island City. Are you willing to come to Brooklyn? It's not far. There's not even a real border. Yeah. I mean, come to Brooklyn, I say. Let's see. You should, I mean, if you're going to drive a little bit, you don't even need to go into Manhattan these days. I say go to Larina, Larina, in Fort Greene. If you guys watched our last season of Top Chef, there was an Italian chef named Sylvia Baran on the show. She's so lovely, and she opened this restaurant like a year ago. My mother-in-law went last night, actually, and said it was amazing. But I went over the summer and just blown away. It's simple, beautiful Italian food.
She was sweet.
She was very sweet.
Edited to seem sweet. Now I'm suspicious.
That is their true selves. Just like it's also me. It's just, a bit of a curated version. I wear more cocktail dresses in my Top Chef.
You have the best cocktail dresses on that show.
Thank you. I will tell the woman who's in charge of that job.
Please do pass that along. Please do.
Yes, I would fail miserably if I had to do that job myself.
Yeah, you guys like the salad?
So is everything, good?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chef TV, by the way, and both Alma and Jared, they did such an amazing job
Thank you
today.
guys so much. Yeah, usually what happens is we're talking and talking, and then everybody gets real quiet.
Yeah.
And that's how we know everything is super delicious. Grilled radicchio, next level.
I agree.
So Dee Dee, we need to do like a grilled salads class.
Grilled salads class. I'd come. Totally.
Done. So we were speaking earlier about, so I was telling Gail about the classes that we have here, and she wants to come and do a series of classes. And I think we would all support that whenever she can make
really
time
fun.
in her busy schedule.
I'm like going to be like artist in residence, just right in this kitchen.
Told her you can
sleep under the.
You can be a member of the Google Food team.
Yeah.
We'll make you an honorary member.
I mean, the thing about the book that I really tried to do with every recipe is make it super simple. Like, ultimately, it's a lentil and lettuce salad, right?
Sure.
And if you take out the grilling of the radicchio, it's a salad that you can probably get anywhere. But that one extra step of grilling the radicchio, I think, really changes the salad, makes you think a little more about cooking and kind of pumping up the flavor in your dish and using maybe a technique that you wouldn't use. So all the recipes in the book, I think, have that.
That's awesome. That's that special thing that makes it really value add.
Yeah.
Like, learn something.
Yeah.
Besides just getting inspiration, which is always good, but.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. I want people to not just follow a recipe verbatim, but actually start to understand the reasons that a recipe are written, the way that they're written, and feel confident following the recipe so much so that then they can move away from the recipe and start really cooking spontaneously, but based in the proper technique.
If you weren't a cook, a chef, or in
I'm not a chef.
industry,
She's a chef.
what would you want to be? What would you do?
What's your dream job?
I love my job.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I mean,
But I do think, my answer is always that I would want to be a primatologist, a zoologist.
Really?
Yeah, I really love monkeys. I studied anthropology, physical and cultural anthropology
very
at
cool.
college because my way in was I really love monkeys. Like, I'm fascinated by primates. I mean, which we all are technically, but
Right.
yeah, I think I would be a zoologist if I could.
That's fascinating.
Probably an assistant to a zoologist because no one would really trust me to be the head zoologist. But
I mean, you never know.
yes, yeah,
Ooh, what spices
Yeah.
are like low key overlooked?
definitely. A lot, and I use a lot of spices in this book in very subtle ways. Ground ginger, ground cardamom, certainly. Paprika, I use a lot of smoked paprika and
Smoked
sweet paprika.
honey.
Paprika honey.
Locked in.
A lot of different chilies that you'll see in the book. Aleppo pepper. Obviously, chili flakes are a staple, and they come up all the time because you can use them in everything. But Aleppo pepper and other dried peppers I really love cooking with. Za'atar, which is a spice
Yes.
blend, I use a lot. It comes up again and again in my book because I'm just so drawn to those Middle Eastern flavors. Traditionally, za'atar is a spice blend of sesame and thyme. Sometimes there's sumac in there. Sumac is another spice that actually comes up again and again in my book. I put it with chilies and salt and lime over just cut up vegetables and fruit. I use sumac in salad dressings with tahini, in Moroccan dishes with a little bit of in addition to or instead of harissa. So those are some of the spices I love the
Awesome.
most.
So our lovely cameraman is reminding me that we have to finish the live stream now. So
All right.
let me officially say thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks, Jenna.
So much fun.
Of course.